We've got two brand new fish tapes here from Ideal Electrical, you guys, and these things are absolute game changers. There's a very, very special feature that I'm excited to show you guys, and all the features that are packed in here and the possibilities that it gives you are pretty incredible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Now we've got two fish tapes here. We've got the E-Class and we've got the blue steel fish tape here, you guys, and both of these versions are going to actually be available with this new modification, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at it first. And on ours, it's on the actual steel fish tape. This is the 240 foot blue steeled BlueView fish tape. Now what that means is going to mean a lot to you here in a moment if it doesn't yet. On the front here you can see there's a screen, and if you press this button in, this screen turns on. If you can see that, it's giving 0 feet right now because the fish tape is at 0 feet. But what this does is it tells you how far out your fish tape is. So if we pull out the fish tape and then we hold it up, you can see there's an actual reading on there. Now this is going to be accurate up to a foot at the full 240 foot. So that's super accurate, and it's built to round up. So if you use this to measure out your wire measurements, the measurement's always over, you know, if it's in between, it always goes up to 7 feet instead of 6. Or obviously you're going to use this on your longer runs where you need an exact measurement, but this is going to allow you to get measurements for wire pulls. It'll allow you to figure out where there's troubled spots. So if your fish tape's getting stuck, you know that it's at 85 feet. And you can know where that problem is, so you can either fix it, you can take it out, you can do some finagling, especially if it's an existing circuit, which you'll probably be using the E-Class fish tape for, but especially when there's old circuits and stuff like that in there, things can get wild. So being able to actually measure out your distances is incredibly useful. There's a 40-hour runtime with 2 AAA batteries, which are stored in this handle. You can take the handle off, and there's actually a compartment to store 2 spare batteries. So that way, if you're on the job site and you, for whatever reason, don't carry AAA batteries with you everywhere you go, I do, everywhere, double and AAA. Always got to have them. But if you don't, you can have 2 in here, so if it does die in the middle of a run, but that way you can just pull the cover off, put the spare batteries in, and keep going with your workday. Now, the other thing that's important is how many of us really have a full 240 foot fish tape all the time? You guys know how it goes. Things get stuck. You end up having to cut it off. So what happens to this counter? Fish tapes get cut up a lot. It just happens because they get stuck, they get broken, whatever happens. And so you have to actually cut the fish tape off and make a new head on it. When you do this, obviously it's going to mess up your measurement. But they thought about this, and all you have to do is pull this out to 10 feet exactly, which is super easy to measure with a tape measure, and you press this little button, and you just take a little piece of number 12 solid and you just press this button right here. It's super easy to press, it's super easy to find. It says 10 foot reset on it. You don't even have to memorize how far out it goes. You just measure out 10 feet, do it, and it's done. So that way too, if you ever have to recalibrate it, it does come factory calibrated, but if you ever do need to reset it, if you have to cut your fish tape or whatever, you just reset it, 10 feet, click, boom, done. But I'm super excited to actually be able to tell how far it's gone. It's such an easy thing to do. It's been tested, drop tested up to 25 feet, which is cool, and also tested with dirt and debris. And I actually was at the facility that they make these at the other day, and they were telling us about the durability tests. And they basically pull the whole spool through lubricant, through debris, through metal shavings, all that stuff, wound it back up, re-spool it. They do the whole thing like over and over and over again to make sure, and each individual model is tested. They dropped this one here before it left the factory 25 feet. So that's pretty cool. They come pre-dropped, which is amazing. It also has a function that it shuts off on its own. So if you're not using it, it will reset. Let me know in the comments if you have any other very creative suggestions of how this can be useful. I can think of so many different ways, but I think this is going to be something that's implemented a lot more in our basic fish tapes with just how easy it is and just how helpful it can be. Next up, we have the new E-Class fish tape, you guys, and this one here is the 100 foot. Comes in a 100 foot or a 200 foot reel. Now, the thing I love about this E-Class fish tape is, for one, it's 1000 volt rated. So you can run this in conduit with circuits that are on, which is, if you're like me, I do service, so this happens very frequently. It has a nylon coating on the outside to help with smoothness, so you guys can get through rough bends, different things like that. With a fiberglass core for stability, it does pull up to 350 pounds, which is fantastic. And the tip is glow in the dark, so you can actually see it when it pops through, especially in drop ceilings, different stuff like that. This is phenomenal. And like I said, there's also a BlueView version of this in the 100 foot or the 200 foot, so you can actually measure out your wires and your different stuff like that. I'm definitely gonna end up getting a BlueView of the composite fish tape, because like I said, I do service, so I actually work in a lot of existing facilities. When we try to reuse raceways, there's always some sort of issue, some sort of trouble, and so being able to actually tell where that trouble is at makes it so much easier. Now, other than the fact that it's insulated, another reason that it's great to use the E-Class version is because it's a lot lighter. You guys, the steel pushes a lot harder, it's got a lot more pull power, but it's also super heavy, and so when you're not doing, you know, big, massive, heavy runs, it's really easy to grab something light like this. It's a significant amount of weight difference, and so if you're gonna be using it all day on light stuff, there's no reason to lug around the big 240-foot steel fish tape when you could have a 100-foot run or a 200-foot run of this E-Class that's incredibly lightweight, incredibly easy to use, pull in, reel in, all the good things that you want from a fish tape. Now, another tool Ideal just launched is this tracer. You guys, you're gonna wanna check this out. It traces both dead and live circuits. You can head up to this video right here to watch the full video on this SureTrace wire tracer. But remember, you guys, it's all for his glory, and I'll see you guys on the next one.